Good evening, and welcome. Tonight we're diving deep into the top 10 countries where undocumented immigrants in the United States are coming from, exploring not just the numbers, but the powerful human stories and forces behind these journeys. Let's get started. Number 10 is Ecuador, a country once seen as a beacon of stability in the region, now facing a dramatic surge in migration to the US that few could have predicted just a few years ago. Economic collapse, soaring unemployment, and a wave of cartel-driven violence have left many Ecuadorians with no choice but to flee their homes in search of safety and hope for a better future. Entire families, not just individuals, are now making the dangerous trek north, often risking everything as they cross the perilous Darien Gap, a journey filled with uncertainty, exhaustion, and fear. Many of these migrants were once part of Ecuador's middle class, now forced to abandon businesses, homes, and the lives they built as civil order breaks down and violence spreads. At the US border, encounters with Ecuadorians have skyrocketed in recent months, reflecting a new and urgent crisis that is reshaping migration patterns in the Americas. Their stories are about survival, not just opportunity. Families seeking a place where their children can be safe from violence, instability, and the constant threat of crime. This is not a historical pattern, but a sudden, desperate response to a nation destabilized by external shocks, including the growing influence of transnational criminal organizations. Ecuador's situation highlights how quickly migration patterns can shift in response to violence, insecurity, and the collapse of public trust in institutions. Understanding Ecuador's crisis is key to grasping the new dynamics at the border, as more families arrive seeking refuge and a chance to rebuild their lives. The reasons for migration are complex, immediate, and deeply rooted in the basic human need for safety, dignity, and the hope of a future free from fear. Number 9 is Venezuela, a country that was once among the wealthiest in Latin America, known for its vast oil reserves and vibrant culture. Today, it's the site of one of the world's largest and most heartbreaking displacement crises, as millions are forced to leave everything behind. Political repression, economic collapse, and relentless hyperinflation have made daily life a constant struggle for survival, with even basic necessities out of reach for many. Over 7 million Venezuelans have fled their homeland, embarking on perilous journeys, often on foot, seeking safety and opportunity, with many hoping to find asylum in the US. These migrants include professionals, students, and entire families escaping a failed state where descent is dangerous. Jobs have vanished, and basic needs go unmet. Their claims for asylum are strong, rooted in political persecution, economic devastation, and a deepening humanitarian crisis that shows no sign of ending. The influx of Venezuelans challenges US policymakers and strains resources, but the human cost and suffering behind these numbers is undeniable. Venezuela's story is a stark example of how governance failures, corruption, and repression can create a massive refugee crisis almost overnight. This is a humanitarian exodus, not just economic migration, a crisis that continues to reshape lives and entire regions. At number 8 is Brazil. A surprise for many. Traditionally, Brazilians migrated legally, but now more are crossing the US border without authorization. Economic stagnation, political polarization, and rising crime have eroded hope for many, especially the middle class. Migrants often fly to Mexico, then attempt the US border, risking their life savings for stability. Unlike some neighbors, Brazil's crisis is about lost promise, not total collapse. This trend shows migration isn't only about poverty or violence, it's also about seeking predictability and opportunity. Brazil's rise on this list signals broader regional shifts. Even regional powers aren't immune to migration pressures. Number 7 is the Philippines, where migration is driven by family ties and economic opportunity. Most undocumented Filipinos arrive legally and overstay visas, caught in a slow, backlogged immigration system. The desire to support families back home is a powerful motivator. Remittances are vital to the Philippine economy. Many work in healthcare and other essential sectors, contributing to US communities while living in legal limbo. Their story is less about fleeing danger and more about navigating complex systems and seeking better lives. Overstays, not border crossings, define this migration pattern. Filipino migrants are deeply integrated, especially in states like California and Hawaii. Their experience highlights the human side of visa overstays and the enduring pull of family. Number 6 is China, where most undocumented immigrants overstay visas rather than cross borders illegally. Many arrive as students or professionals, then remain after visas expire, drawn by economic opportunity and personal freedom. China's rapid growth hasn't benefited everyone, and competition is fierce. Increasingly, some Chinese nationals seek asylum at the southern border, fleeing political repression or religious persecution. The migration story is split: educated overstayers seeking opportunity, and asylum seekers escaping direct threats. Both groups are motivated by a desire for fewer restrictions and greater autonomy. China's presence on this list reflects evolving global migration patterns. The search for freedom and opportunity drives both paths. At number 5 is India, a rapidly growing source of undocumented immigrants. Most arrive legally, often as skilled workers or students, but face decades-long green card backlogs. When visas expire, many stay to support families, drawn by higher wages and better prospects. Recently, more Indians are crossing the US-Mexico border, seeking asylum from political or economic distress. Migrants come from diverse backgrounds: tech professionals, students, and those fleeing regional conflict. India's story is about both opportunity and desperation, shaped by US immigration bottlenecks. The Indian diaspora's growth signals the changing face of global migration. Even booming economies can drive migration when opportunities limited at home. Number 4 is El Salvador, where migration is rooted in decades of conflict and ongoing gang violence. Many Salvadorans join family already in the US, forming strong transnational networks. Today, extreme gang violence and extortion force families to flee for safety. Family reunification remains a powerful pull, making migration more achievable. Recent government crackdowns have reduced violence, but skepticism remains about lasting change. For many, migration is still the only path to security and stability. El Salvador's story shows how past conflicts and persistent insecurity drive migration across generations. The search for safety and family unity continues to shape this flow. Number 3 is Honduras, where migration is driven by a devastating mix of violence, poverty, corruption, and climate disasters. Gangs control urban areas, forcing families to choose between extortion or death. Deep poverty and lack of opportunity leave little hope for a better future. Corruption undermines trust in institutions, compounding despair. Climate change, especially hurricanes, has destroyed homes and livelihoods, pushing rural families to migrate. Migrant caravans are acts of collective desperation, not organized invasions. For many Hondurans, migration is the only path to survival. Overlapping crises make staying home impossible for countless families. Number 2 is Guatemala, where migration is fueled by poverty, malnutrition, and a legacy of civil war. Indigenous communities in the highlands face discrimination and chronic underinvestment. Economic hardship and climate change have made farming unsustainable, leading to food insecurity. Urban violence and crime add to the pressures. Most Guatemalans migrate out of economic desperation, seeking a future for their children. The journey is long and dangerous, often involving smugglers and life savings. Upon arrival, many work in agriculture and construction, sending remittances home. Guatemala's story is about escaping a life without prospects, not just fleeing violence. Number 1 is Mexico, the largest source of undocumented immigrants in the US for over a century. The story of Mexican migration is deeply woven into the fabric of American history, shaping both nations in profound ways. Migration patterns have shifted over time, evolving from seasonal work in the fields to more permanent settlement as border enforcement tightened and opportunities changed. Today, Mexican migrants are more settled than ever, with deep roots in American communities, raising families, starting businesses, and contributing to local culture and economies. Economic inequality and a lack of rural jobs in Mexico remain key drivers, alongside the powerful lure of higher US wages and the hope for a better future. In recent years, drug cartel violence in certain regions has made safety a growing concern, adding a new layer of urgency to the decision to migrate. For many families, migration is now about escaping violence and instability as much as seeking opportunity and economic security. Recently, more Mexicans have returned home than arrived, yet the existing population in the U.S. remains the largest among all immigrant groups, continuing to shape American society. Mexican migration is foundational to the U.S. story, shaped by labor, family, proximity, and evolving challenges that reflect the changing relationship between the two countries. The narrative is complex, reflecting both enduring ties and new pressures, as families adapt and communities evolve on both sides of the border. Mexico's place at the top underscores the deep, ongoing connection between the two nations, a relationship built on history, geography, and the enduring spirit of its people. From Mexico to India, the story of undocumented immigration is complex and ever-changing. People come for safety, opportunity, or to reunite with family, each journey shaped by unique pressures. Migration patterns shift with global crises, economic changes, and evolving policies. Understanding these root causes is essential for honest, productive conversations about immigration. Thank you for joining us. Share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more in-depth stories.